you. This is going to be a little different than our normal memorial arrangements, but I kind of wanted to show you how we put things together. When you come on, tell us hello. Tell us how you're doing and tell us where you're from. I have Miss Victoria here, and we are live on both Facebook and YouTube. So if you have any questions on either platform, don't hesitate to ask, and we will try to answer those as we go along. So this is a container that our client brought to us. It's just it's kind of a concrete container. It's pretty heavy, so it needs no weight added to it. It's actually just going to sit on a grave in front of a gravestone, and so really there's no weight needed to be added to it. What we've done is, I don't know if you've ever used this before, but this is plaster of Paris, and I like to buy plaster of Paris in a large bag. I want to say this is probably, I don't even know how heavy it is, 25-pound bag of plaster of Paris. I picked this up from Lowe's here in town. I like a big bag just because that means I don't have to go back and forth to the store a ton of times. It's not terribly expensive. Quite honestly, I cannot recall exactly how much it is. But what we normally do with it is I just scoop it out. I use one of these little tiny drinking cups that my boys used to drink out of. It's just like this is a little Halloween cup. And so it's just a little plastic cup. And what I do is I just take it and scoop it out. And I'm actually going to fill a second container too, so I'll show you. I just take it and get a cupful, a pretty good cupful. I dump it in, and it usually, like this one took about 3 of those cups. It's a little messy, but it works wonderful. So I'm going to get another good cupful. And in this one, it only takes about 2 of those cups full. Okay? I'm going to set this plaster on the floor, and I'm going to show you how I mix it up.
Everyone's saying hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Thanks, guys, for being here with me. So it's a little messy. Like I said, it's a little messy, so you probably want to do this in the kitchen where you can sweep it up, or outside. Works great. So I'm usually in there by the sink when I do this. So I add a little water, I stir, and I add a little water. You don't want to get it too loose. So you don't want to add too much water at first. So I'm just adding, and I'm spilling it on the table as I go because I'm really, really good at this. So add a little and stir. You don't want it too liquidy. You almost want it like biscuit dough. And so I just take, I've actually got a butter knife, and I am just stirring that plaster to kind of make a little, I want it to be a little thick because the looser it is, the longer it takes for it to set up. So I'm just taking my knife and I'm just stirring it and stirring it. And it's really, I mean, like I could put my hands in it and almost make biscuits. If that's a good description. So you just stir it until you get it well mixed. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit more water to it.
Dawn Miller asks if you will be gone the next 3 days.
Dawn, I will be here tomorrow. And so I will do a live tomorrow. And then on Thursday and Friday, I will probably do some older videos. I'll pull a couple older videos for those 2 days. I'm not sure.
Videos on YouTube.
And we will have some brand new videos for YouTube. Because Owen's got me busy doing videos for YouTube. Okay, so there is my mixed plaster. And what I do next is I'm just going to kind of pat it down just a little bit. I'm just going to take a piece of styrofoam. I just cut a small block, and I'm pressing it right down into that plaster of Paris, okay? And I'm just wiping my knife off. And then I just kind of bang it on the table so that it's kind of even in there. Now, like I said, this is a heavy container, so we're not going to have any issues with it blowing away, blowing off, or any of the things. So I'm going to set this one to the side. Now, this one is a mache container. You can see I put the powder down in there. Again, I'm just going to pour a little water. I'm going to stir and then add water as needed. But again, you want it pretty thick. So you don't want it too runny, because if it's too runny, it takes a little longer to set up. The thicker it is, the quicker it sets. So I'm going to mix this, and then I'm going to show you what I do to add weight to this. So to add weight, I like to just put some rocks in it. Now, if you have gravel out in your driveway, go outside and put some gravel from the driveway. We do have gravel in our driveway, but the other day we had someone bring us some containers that they wanted to recycle, which is such a blessing, and we sure appreciate that. So if you have any containers you want to get rid of, don't hesitate to bring them to Flowers by the Bunch. We'll give them a good bath and recycle. Well, when they did that the other day, they brought us some of these little stones. Well, these are they're just gems, little decorative gems, and of course I'm not sure what to do with amber colored decorative gems, but they're going to work perfectly to give us some weight in this container. So I've got my plaster stirred up pretty good, so you can kind of see that it's just stirred up in there. I'm going to take my piece of styrofoam and I'm pressing it right down in there. So I just stuck it right down in there, and then I'm going to open up these gems, and I'm just going to pour them right down into that plaster. And what that does is it adds some weight to this container, so it doesn't blow off. It's just important that the container doesn't blow over, and outside in the wind, sometimes it will just blow. And so if you add some kind of weight, exactly what these little stones are doing is adding a little bit of weight to this container. Now, they don't really have to be permanently stuck down in there, but that gives us some weight for the container. Just stuck my whole hand in the plaster. Okay.
Oh, Belle's Bliss Design says Quickcrete works well too.
It does work well, but I tell you, it is heavy. That Quickcrete is heavy, and it's a little more expensive than Plaster of Paris, but that stuff's heavy to carry out of the store, so I find I like plaster better because it's easier for me to carry. I feel a little old when I get in there trying to carry stuff that's too heavy. I just stepped on my shoestring, so I'm going to tie it really quickly. I apologize.
Oh, Heather Reeves. Let me see. She says, hi to you both from New Zealand. Finally caught you live.
Yay, Heather. We're so glad you're here.
She says you can put those at the bottom of a clear vase as a decorative, and it looks great.
It does. It does look great. Yes, and those, I just didn't have time to run out into the yard and pick up some rocks, and so that's why I just grabbed those. But absolutely, it does really make an arrangement look pretty, doesn't it? I'm going to take a little bit of Spanish moss, and I'm going to cover up the mechanics in this container, and I'm not really going to come over the top of that foam, but I just don't want you to see down inside the container and see all that plaster of Paris. So I just kind of covered it around that foam with that moss. I'm going to do the same on this one. All right. Now again, moss is messy, so y'all will probably want to use your moss outdoors or somewhere that it's easy to sweep up. Next, we're going to come in with some greenery. So this lady really liked, several weeks ago, I made a silk arrangement that was with the 3 wooden crosses that I did for Easter, and she really loved the style of that arrangement, and she wanted 2 of those arrangements for memorials. So we're going to work on both of those arrangements. I'm going to set this one on the floor. I'm going to start out with this greenery. I got this actually from a company called Tremont Floral, and Tremont Floral has a website that you can go on and order order some of their silks. But this is so pretty, and I've used it a couple of times. You've probably seen me if you've watched some of my silk videos. I've used it a couple of times, but it's just really pretty. So I'm going to take it and cut it in a couple of pieces. And so this arrangement is going to kind of be low. She wanted a little height in it, but not too much height. So I'm going to do it kind of low and long, but I'm going to give us a little bit more height than we did our Easter arrangement. So I have got my glue pan over here, and I am going to take and dip my foliage right into that glue, and I'm going to push it right into the foam.
Allison says, hi ladies, joining in a little late. What are we designing today?
This is a sympathy arrangement. Is that Jason coming in, or is that a customer? This is a sympathy arrangement. Well, it's a memorial arrangement. So it's going to go to the cemetery, but she wanted some prettier silks. And so, and what I mean by that is sometimes for memorial silks, we will use less expensive silks, but she wanted something that was a little showier, and she really liked the 3 wooden crosses that we did for Easter. And so that's what we're going to do for her memorial flowers. So I'm just taking these stems and cutting them into smaller pieces. I'm dipping that stem right into that glue, and I am just sticking it right into the foam. And I'm getting glue all over my fingers.
Dawn says that greenery looks real.
Isn't that the prettiest greenery? It reminds me a little bit of olive. The only thing about olive is olives, if you've ever messed with olive foliage, it's very rigid, and it's not nearly this pretty. But it kind of reminds you a little bit of olive foliage. It's not the right color, but it's about the right shape. It's pretty.
Stephanie Smith asks, when you use plaster of Paris, is it permanently affixed to the container?
Well, now, if you popped that container, you can get it loose, but yes, it is. I would say it's pretty permanent to that container. And I asked her if that was okay, and she said absolutely, that was okay. Now, what we can do is, if she decides to use this container again, we can pull all the stuff out and rearrange with the foam. But I was just afraid if we lined this container, how well it would stay at the cemetery. With the wind and all of the weather and such, I was just afraid it just wasn't going to last at the cemetery if we didn't permanently affix it to the container. Okay, so there is our foliage. And again, if anybody's interested in Tremont floral, I can put a link in the comments. So if you're interested, let me know and I'll pop a link. Next, what we're going to do is add a couple of stems of these white hydrangeas. This is just a hydrangea bush. It is really, really white. I prefer them to be more of an ivory than the white because this is so white. I mean, like, it is white. But we are going to use just a couple of stems. So what I'm doing is, you can see it has foliage down here. It just slides right up towards that head. So I'm just taking that foliage and pushing it right up to that head, because there is no need in not using the foliage. So I'm just taking it and I pushed it up to the tops of to the heads. I'm going to go ahead and cut those stems right off that bush.
Lorinda Massey would love a link to.
I'll be happy to put that in there. Yes, ma'am. I will put a link for Tremont for you. Now, Tremont Floral has lots of, they have pretty silks, but they also have lots of traditional cemetery and memorial type silks. Pretty good price, and they will ship. They are located in Tremont, Mississippi. That's North Mississippi. But they have really, really pretty stuff. I'm going to just take that stem. I'm using my handy dandy cobalt snips, and I cut that stem. I dipped it in the glue, and I'm just going to push it right into that foam.
Julian Lister says, hi ladies, Monty, you may remember I asked your advice about flowers for an arrangement. Well, I managed and it worked out really well.
Awesome! I am so glad. I'm so glad it worked out for you.
Shirley says, hi ladies, enjoying today's time with y'all. I know I'll pick up some great tips.
I'm so glad you're here with us. Thank you for watching. Okay, so I'm going to tilt it so you can see it. I put 3 blooms of hydrangeas just nestled down into that container. I do have more pretty foliage, so I will add more foliage in a minute. Next, we're going to come in with some of these flowers we picked up from Shein, however you say it. I probably don't say it right with my lovely southern accent. So about a month or so ago, I ordered some blooms, some artificial blooms from a company called Shein. How do you say it, Victoria? I don't even know.
I say it how you say it.
So I say it wrong. But anyway, it's actually a clothing company, but they had some of the most fun little artificial blooms. And so I said, shoot, we will order some. So they come on small bushes, just like this. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stems of flowers on it. Quite honestly, you can take this, dip it in glue, and nestle it right down in. I'm actually going to cut them apart this time. But it has some different, I went with some whites just because I thought white goes with everything. So anyway, just a few of those blooms. I'm going to take it and I'm going to take my snips and I'm just going to cut it apart. Now, I personally am one of those people who really likes to individually put my flowers into my foam because I feel like I can put them where I want them. So I cut it apart and they're a little short. So let me show you how I'm going to give them a little more length. So I have some wooden picks. These are wood picks that are called Coe wood picks. I like the 6-inch length. You can buy them at any floral supply place, or you can probably buy them on Amazon. I always just buy them from Direct Floral. But anyway, here's my pick. I'm going to take it and I'm going to just hold the stem of that flower right against that pick. The pick has a little piece of wire. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it has a little tiny piece of wire. I'm just going to wrap that flower right onto that wood pick with that wire. That was so southern. Wire. That was very southern. I apologize. I just attached that flower right onto that pick. So that gives me 6 more inches of stem for that flower. I'm going to take it, I'm going to dip it right into the glue, and then I am going to stick it right into my arrangement. Now, some of these flowers I may not put a pick on. I'm just going to go ahead and dip that stem in, and I'm going to tuck it down deep.
Miss Julianne Lister says, thank you for the advice. I can send a picture of the finished product if you like.
I sure would love that. Please send us a picture. We would love to see the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
That's always so fun.
Miss Becky says that foliage is so pretty.
Isn't that pretty?
Sweeper says, hi everyone out there in Monty and Victoria land.
Oh my goodness.
Miss Deborah says, hello ladies, here's the angry emoji from the not angry
Yay!
lady.
I'm so glad to get your angry emoji. They make me happy. That's so fun. Ooh, that just dripped on my hand. That hurt. That was not very comfortable.
Miss Connie asks, where's your lazy Susan?
I know. I don't know where it is. In a drawer somewhere. I'm so bad because you get so used to not using something, and then you get something and you're like, oh, I got to learn to use that. Oh, look, guess what? It's in the drawer. It was hiding. See, y'all have to, there we go. Look, I did it. Yay, thank you, ma'am. Sometimes you just need a reminder. So I'm just adding picks to some of that foliage. Some of the flowers. I'm not putting it on all of them. Just a few. Dipping that in glue and just gluing it right into that foam.
Allison says, I love your Southern accent. It's definitely part of your charm.
Except when I say stuff that is really too Southern. I think, oh, did I say that? Yes, you did. You did say that.
Oh, and she also says, a lady that works for the company said on a chat it's pronounced Shein.
Shein. Shein. Thank you, friend. I knew that you could tell us how to say it. Shein.
Rachel says, you don't wrap with floral tape.
You can. You absolutely can. But guess what? It's not. Oh. It's in my drawer. If I would look in my drawer. You can. It's not so always necessary, but you can certainly wrap with floral tape, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Floral tape is just corsage tape. Floral tape is paper tape that's infused with a little bit of wax, so it makes it stick. So I'm going to take that tape. I'm laying it right on top of that wood pick, and I'm going to kind of pinch it and pull it right around. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist with my left hand. So this is my left hand. And my right hand, I'm going to pull down with my right hand. So twist and pull and twist and pull and go all the way down that stem. Now the reason why you usually like to wrap it with your tape is because it's going to help keep that flower from pulling loose. It's going to stay attached. If you don't have tape, you don't have to tape it, but it does guarantee it's not going to come loose. It's going to take a lot of work to get it loose.
Michelle says, my daughter whom I opened our shop with keeps teasing me because I always say, well, Monty says to do this or Monty says to do that. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, she's going to talk ugly about me, Mama. Well, Monty doesn't know everything, Mom, right? No, I promise I don't know that I know much, but I sure try, and this is how we do it. So I can't say that it's always right, but this is how we do it, and it works for us, right, Victoria?
Sweetbriar asks if you glue in your foam for your monument silks.
Glue in my foam for my monument silks.
Or memorial silk.
Glue it into what? Would you think? So this is actually, it's going to be affixed to, the foam is affixed into the container with plaster of Paris. So yes, if I had to glue, I'm not exactly sure what I would be gluing it into, but yes, we have glued. Most of the time though, if it needs weight, I always use plaster of Paris. Because glue will pop loose sometimes, and so that's the reason I like to use plaster of Paris. But yes, I have used glue because sometimes that's what you have.
Bonita says, my screen froze briefly and it looked like you were praying over that flower.
Oh, it might need prayers. I might need prayers. All right, so I've just about got all of my little flowers in. So what I did was I added two of the little bushes, the small bushes. From Shein, and that's about 14 little stems that I tucked in. Next, I'm going to add some length, some line flower, and so I have this beautiful larkspur. So these are larkspur stems. I actually used fresh larkspur today, and let me tell you, fresh doesn't look anything like this. This is so much prettier than fresh larkspur or the fresh larkspur that I personally get. This is so full and so pretty. It's just really, really nice. I also bought these stems from Shein, and these are very pretty and very nice. And so I'm going to take these stems. So she wanted a little bit of height, so I'm going to take one and I'm going to cut it short. Now, the arrangement that I made, I need to stick him in. The arrangement that I made for Easter with the 3 wooden crosses was low and kind of elongated, but she wanted a little bit of height with the same type of style. So I may take this and add just a little height in here. So I'm going to cut this stem really short.
Miss Vicky says, lucky me. Hello again, ladies from Canada.
Hello, Miss Vicky. So glad you're here with us today.
Dean says, Katie and I are finally here. Had a teleconference call with my doctor.
Oh, I hope it was a good conference. I hope you're feeling better. How are y'all doing? Okay, so I am wanting this to be, I don't necessarily want everything very symmetrical. I don't want a center stem and all the things. So I am going to leave that kind of off center. So don't fuss. I meant for it to be. I'm just taking my snips and cutting those stems. And all of a sudden I'm having a hot flash.
Brita says, hi, Moni and Victoria. Love watching your stunning work. Love the colors. You make my day.
Oh, thank you, friend. I'm so glad you're here with us.
Oh, Miss Linda says, missed the beginning. What is this arrangement for?
This arrangement is a memorial arrangement. She's going to actually take it to the cemetery. So I cut this one in half. So there were two pieces. This is the larger stem, the larger flower, and this is kind of a little bud. But isn't that a pretty little bud? So I cut it in half. I like that bud, though. That's a sweet little bud.
On YouTube, Linda says, good afternoon.
Hey, Miss Linda. Thank you for being here.
Diane is watching from England, and Countryside Dwellers is watching from Georgia.
Hello, guys. Thank y'all so much for being here. Okay, so one of my little foliage, my little piece of greenery came off, so I'm just dipping that end right into some glue, and I'm going to stick it right back on. I don't have my reading glasses on. I'm going to stick it right back onto the stem. And that way it'll stay on. I am going to cut this one in half also. Now I'm going to dip it in glue. So I'm dipping each stem right into the glue. And tucking that right in. And then I'm going to dip my little bud. I love that these have these pretty little buds. Tuck that in. Okay, so I'm going to turn it around because we really want it pretty on both sides.
Miss Mary Lou asks if that is your new skillet for your glue.
This is my old skillet. This is one that we've had for a long time. I need to go to the store and pick up a larger, a countertop, like a cooking skillet. I just like a large skillet. Because you have to add glue constantly to this one. Okay, so there's flowers kind of all the way around on that. Next I'm going to come in with a couple of large peonies and then a little bit of greenery. So I've got some large blooms of peonies. These I believe came from Tremont Floral.
Sweetbriar asks, does Monty glue the foam into the cones that stick into the ground at the cemetery?
I do, yes. So if it's like a little plastic cone that has a pick on the bottom, I'll grab one of those and show it to you. Yes, ma'am, I do glue that in. So I just dip my flowers, my cone, right down into the glue, and I just stick that right down into that cone. So these are these beautiful large white peonies, and I'm going to tuck him right down here. And I didn't cut my stem short enough. I'm going to pull that out and cut that again.
Oh, no.
There we go, Dart.
Yeah. Don't worry, guys.
We're coming back. We're coming back. This darn camera, for some reason, likes to make us fuss, and it goes dark on us. Are we back? We're back. Todd's like, what is going on in here? Right, Todd? What is going on in here? Okay, so I tucked two very large, beautiful peonies right there in the front. And there is our silk piece with the container that she brought. Now, quite honestly, this does not have to go to the cemetery. It would be absolutely beautiful on someone's table. But that is the piece that she had in mind for the her memorial piece that she's going to take to the cemetery. So there's that. Now the wonderful part is she's coming to pick these up. So if I need to add some more height, I can certainly add more height. I can move things around. I have always been one of those people that I always get so nervous about doing artificial flowers for people, especially for their home, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm capable, but I'm kind of silly that way. It makes me nervous. But anyway, there's the first one.
Chris asks, if you unplug the glue pan, will the glue set back up and can you reuse it?
Yes. All of the above. Yes, we unplug it every night and it sets back up. It sets up just like, yes, it gets hard. And if you don't watch your children or your husband, then you'll see a lot of little fingerprints in it as it starts to cool. You'll see tons of little fingerprints because your children won't keep their hands out of it. It's probably more Jason than it is the children. Okay, so this next one, I am basically doing it pretty much the same. I'm going to put some other foliages in it. It's a little smaller, of course, than the first one. So I have taken plaster of Paris. I don't know if you saw it earlier, but I just took some plaster of Paris, which comes in a large bag. I buy it in a 25-pound bag from Lowe's. You can probably get it from the craft store. You can probably get it from your local, what am I trying to say because my words won't come? Your local supply store. Any kind of store usually has it. Walmart has it in tiny bags, but you can get it just about anywhere, I think. You can also use a Quikrete, but it's heavy, and so I prefer not to use it just because of its weight, because it's hard to carry. Plaster of Paris works really well, and it sets up pretty quickly. So I added the powder down into the bottom, added a little bit of water, mixed it as I went. So I slowly add water because I don't want it too liquidy. I would like it more firm than too liquidy. Added my foam, added some rocks to give us some weight. Then I added a tiny bit of moss just to kind of cover up those mechanics. And next what we're going to do is add some greenery. So this is just some pretty foliage. Such a pretty foliage. And so I'm just taking it and cutting it into smaller pieces. And I'm dipping that into glue and I'm gluing it right over into this container.
Melinda says hello from Pennsylvania. How do you fasten into the ground?
Okay, so there are several different ways that we fasten into the ground. So like these two pieces really won't fasten into the ground. I have seen in the past where you can buy a little metal piece that holds. It has like a little piece that you can slide your pot right down into, and then it has little feet that'll sit right down into the ground. I don't have those, so I don't usually even offer those. I have taken like an old stand, an old metal stand, and we have cut it, and I've put a hook. I've left the legs kind of long and we hooked it over. And so you can actually hook that into the sides of the pot and push down into the ground. And it usually takes about 2 of those. Leave the bottom part about 12 inches and it'll push right down into the ground. I also make those same hooks. So if someone wants to use it as more of a grave blanket, you can take those same hooks and they can lay the foam with the arrangement in it. I usually make an arrangement that kind of looks like a standing spray, but it's not on the stand. They lay it directly on the grave, and then I'll make those metal hooks that they can push right down into. If you do not have long metal pieces like from a stand, you can always suggest that they go to a local hardware store and pick up tent stakes. And tent stakes are little metal stakes that have like a little hook, and it'll push right down into the ground also. It works well. And then we have, for vases, we do have a plastic vase that you can put your cemetery cone into, and it has a pick, so it'll pick right into the ground. But the pick's not very long, so I don't know how wonderful they stay. I've never actually personally used them, but people buy them a lot, so I'm assuming they probably work.
Verna asks, what type of greenery is this? And Linda Fisher asks, where did you get that foliage?
This greenery is, I am not exactly sure the name of the variety. I can go to the back room and see if it's on the box. I purchased this greenery from a company called Tremont Floral, and I will be happy to put that in the comments. I'll put their link in the comments. Floral is a company out of Mississippi. It's Tremont, Mississippi is the name of is the town that it's in. It's North Mississippi. It's north of us. But they have lots of pretty stuff, lots of floral supplies, and they have a website and they ship. But I'll be happy to give you the name of the company. But I'm not sure the name of this foliage. He just had it on a truck, so it's all. This is one of those trucks that comes by and sells us foliage, sells us flowers and different kinds of supplies. And so he had this beautiful greenery on his truck, and that's this stuff.
Allison says, "Oh, I just love those large peonies. Those are the same ones you used in another arrangement recently, right?"
Yes, they are. Okay, so this just says greens. It doesn't really give me a variety of foliage for that, but I do love it. Now this is a eucalyptus bush. I actually bought this from Shein. Is that right? Did I say that right? And it's got 7 little pieces that you could cut off, but I'm actually just going to take the whole little stem. I'm going to dip it in glue, and I'm just going to push that right down into my phone.
Sheila Nivens asks, do you glue foam into the vases that are part of the monument?
I probably would not. Is it like no. What is my words? My words will not come. No. If I am going to go out and put something in someone's vase, most of the ones that we use for vases are at a cemetery that has flat stone markers. Our markers are actually flat, and they have like a metal vase that sits right on top of those flat stones. And so I have a cemetery cone, which is it's made out of foam, and usually it's too big actually to go down in those vases, and so I will always take just a piece of the styrofoam and kind of shave it down, and I make sure that it fits tightly down into that container. Now if it is a stone that has more of a marble type vase, I usually try to send several extra pieces of foam so that you can wedge it in there as tightly as possible. I don't want to mess up anybody's marker, and so therefore I don't use any kind of adhesive to try to stick them in. I usually just try to wedge it in as much as I can, or I will take one of these pieces, one of these containers, and weight it. If they'll give me the right dimensions, then this will just sit right down into that. So it really just kind of depends.
Lori Fulcher says, "Hello ladies, my first time to catch you live. I love everything you do."
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for watching. So I'm taking these little pieces. These also came from Shein. This is just like a little floral bush. I am going to cut them apart, and I'm just going to glue them directly down in there to just give us some fullness. I like the white of this.
Julie says your green shirt is a lovely backdrop for your arrangement.
Thank you. Thank you. Victoria says, I really like you in green.
I did.
Thanks, Victoria. Thank you, friend.
Julie asks, if this is to be used outside, do you spray the arrangements with a waterproof spray, or do you leave them as they are?
We will take them outside, and I will spray them with a clear polyurethane. It's just a clear spray paint, and what that's going to do, these are white flowers, so we're really not going to have any problems with white flowers fading, but that clear poly puts kind of a coating on them so they won't get so dirty. You know, a lot of times when it's sitting directly on the ground and they weed eat and all the things, and if it rains and mud tries to splash up, this will help keep them from getting dirty, that poly will. It will also help keep things from fading.
Sandy says, beautiful. We've had people stealing arrangements from cemeteries in our area. Terrible. Hope that doesn't happen to this.
Doesn't that make you so angry, though? I mean, really, people? I don't understand the world that we live in. It makes no sense.
Lisa asks, where do you like to order your containers from?
This container is just a paper mache container. It came from Direct Floral. Now the concrete container that lady brought in, we have had those. We have gotten those. Where did that? Sims Pottery is the name of the company that those come from. But the only problem with Sims Pottery is that's heavy stuff, and you have to pay a pretty hefty price tag to get it shipped to you. And so it's a great price, except that you have to pay a pretty heavy price tag to get them shipped. And that's no fun. I'm going to take some more. I'm really going to make this pretty close to what I did before. I'm taking a couple of these white hydrangeas, and I'm just kind of nestling them down into the center of the arrangement.
Debbie Paxton says, Monty, you can also use old wire clothes hangers to cut and bend to hold it in the ground. Thank you for teaching us many different techniques.
Oh, and that's thank you for that example. Yeah, I always forget about coat hangers, but yes, you can absolutely use those too. And they work perfect. You're so welcome. Thank you for that wonderful suggestion.
Miss Mary Ann Covert asks, does the heat in the coming summer loosen the glue in the styrofoam?
Okay, so the heat, yeah, it's no fun. Mississippi heat is no fun. I have not really had any problems with. It's not as bad. The heat isn't as bad on the hot glue as the cold, popping it loose. But with cemetery work, it's not going to last but about 3 or 4 good months, and then it starts to look a bit weathered. And so, yeah, it really usually doesn't give the glue any issues. So I'm just taking these little bushes, and I left it all together. You can see how I just kind of separated it. Kristen Weaver laughed at me the last time when I said, breathe life into the foot. But just kind of fluff it up a little bit. Dip it in that glue, and I'm just going to tuck those right down. That glue is hot, man. That's hotter than normal.
Susan Campbell says, hello ladies from Chattanooga. I do so love watching you make anything.
Oh, you are so sweet to me. Thank you so much. Thank you, friend. So I'm just using these bushes. I'm going to turn it around and show you. I'm just dipping it right in that glue. I got a little hole right there. I'm just going to take that whole little bush and push him right down in. And then you're just going to kind of rearrange your flowers and put them where you want them.
Margaret Lynch says, good night, Monty and Miss Victoria. Happy Tuesday. Great day to Shanghai potatoes and the onions.
Look at you. We need to come visit you, Miss Margaret Lynch. We're going to take a field trip and come visit.
Alma Hooper asks, are you using a new kind of glue container?
So this is a smaller glue pan. This is our backup glue pan because our handy dandy older one burned out. So it quit working. And so this is my backup, which I ordered from Amazon. Always read your dimensions, guys. I am the world's worst. Like, I didn't read the dimensions, and I was like, Callie, I got us a new glue pen. And it came in about the size of my hand. And I was like, oh, it's very small. And so it doesn't hold quite as much glue as I would prefer. But it works, and I need to get myself over to pick us up a new one. But this is working for the time being. I am the world's worst, though. I will not read dimensions. I will just buy some, and it'll be so small. And I'll think, oh, Victoria, it's so tiny.
Allison says, yay, group trip to Ireland. Margaret can give us a tour.
Yeah, wouldn't it be amazing, Allison? We could have some fun.
And Miss Margaret says, OMG, would love that.
So I'm just taking these longer stems of larkspur and I'm just cutting them in half. So you can always take these stems and just cut them up. I always like to leave the foliage on if at all possible because it works in helping fill up the container. But if you can't leave the foliage on, go ahead and cut that off and save that foliage, and then you can tuck it deep into the arrangement.
Miss Mildred says, love watching you.
Thank you, Miss Mildred. I'm so glad you're here with us.
And Miss Pam says, you can use an old electric frying pan for a glue pan.
That's my favorite. That's what I really like to use is an electric frying pan, but I can sure wear one out because we use it a lot. We usually have it heated up every single day, and so we use it a lot. But yes, that's my favorite because it holds a lot of glue. All right, let's tuck a few peonies in here. So I'm going to show you, like with this one, I cut the peony foliage off because I didn't need it quite so long. So I'm just going to use this foliage tucked right down into this arrangement. So anytime you're using artificial blooms and you have some greenery, save that greenery because you can so use it. Oh, you're getting somebody sitting in your lap, Miss Victoria.
Miss Judy says, I love watching you create beautiful arrangements.
Oh, thank you.
And Charmaine Hatcher asks, what type of glue is your favorite to use?
So I have a couple, a couple of favorite glues. I like a glue pan. A glue pan is my favorite way to glue in any kind of crafts and any kind of artificial blooms and any kind of arranging with artificial things. I love a glue pan, and the reason I like a glue pan the best is because it's never as hot as a glue gun, and a glue gun blisters. Goodness me, it blisters so. And so I prefer a glue pan over a glue gun, and the type of glue I like to use in a pan is called pellet glue, and they almost look like little tiny pillows. They're just little tiny pellets. You can buy those from any local craft store. You can buy them from Amazon. You can buy them from any floral supply place. So that's my favorite when it comes to crafting and doing things like this, or floral arrangements and such. Now, when it comes to doing fresh flowers and gluing corsages and the like, I like to use a cold glue, and that cold glue, my favorite is by Oasis brand, and it's an Oasis brand adhesive, and it's a lot like a kind of a rubber cement that your kids would use when making a you can put Legos together with it so that it bonds together, or any kind of thing like that. But when you use that cold glue, it's easy on the flowers, and so it doesn't damage fresh flowers. So that's why I like a cold glue. Now, it's not instant like hot glue is. You know, hot glue will bond pretty quick. Cold glue doesn't bond as quick, but it works really well. And my favorite brand would be the Oasis brand.
Miss Linda asks, does the shop kitty go home with you at night? And Dawn asks, how is Osa doing?
Osa doesn't go home. He lives at the flower shop full time. He's an indoor-outdoor cat, so he kind of comes and goes as he pleases. We kind of let him do his thing. He's wonderful, Miss Dawn Miller. Thank you for asking. He usually spends the night inside, which really makes my heart feel good. He can't go outside unless we let him out. We don't really have a pet door here, so he's kind of stuck inside if he's inside. We do have a litter box here, so he has all of the things that he needs to be safe inside. Now he does go outside, but he really is a people cat. He really likes us. And so he likes to be on the design table or in the middle of the design floor. Wherever he can be the closest to a human is where he prefers. He is such a rotten boy, and we like it that way. So he lives here, and then at home, Todd, the Chihuahua, goes home every night. So he only comes to work for treats. He gets his treat in the morning. He naps most of the day until lunchtime, and he gets a snack at lunch. And then he's ready to go home, and he sleeps in the recliner all night, and then he comes back to work and does it again. We do have 2 cats at home, and both of them, one is mostly outdoors. He comes in to eat, but he prefers being outdoors. He's the old guy. His name is Norman. And then we have Binks, and he is our black kitty, and he was my Halloween kitty. That's why he got named Binks. I got him at Halloween. And he's a mama kitty. He doesn't like anybody but me. Victoria's like, I don't know why Binks isn't nice. And I said, because he likes me. I'm sorry, Victoria. I'm his favorite.
It's all right.
Now, Osa, everybody's Osa's favorite. If you'll give him attention, everybody's Osa's favorite. Norman doesn't like anybody, and then Binks only likes me. So we kind of have all the critters.
Kathy asks if you are adding any ribbon or bows.
I am not. She didn't ask for them. Now, if she decides that she wants some, we absolutely will. We're going to give her a call first thing in the morning and let her know that her flowers are ready. And so, when people come and pick up their artificial blooms or any kind of arrangements, we always make sure they like them. Because if you don't like it, I can fix it. So I always want to make sure that you're pleased when you go out with anything that comes from our store. And so if she decides she wants some ribbon, we'll certainly add it. And she may even want more height, and so we'll add it then also.
Linda says, I bet he has a party time. My cat uses the doggy door to go in and out.
Now, at home, our animals come in and out. We do have a dog door, which is about a good size for a cat and a little fat Chihuahua. And so they all can come in and out. We have no litter boxes at home. Everybody does all of their business outside, which is wonderful. And I would love to teach this one to do that because I am not a fan of a litter box. But he comes and goes most of the time, so he does do most of that business outside. But if he's stuck inside, he has to have a litter box.
Miss Mary Ann, Victoria, would you think about posting pictures of your designs while Monty is gone? Sure. Sure.
Yes, we will. She will keep it going, and I'm certainly going to post. And I just don't want to promise that I'll do videos. I might. I'm actually headed to Kentucky to learn more about social media and how to make this page better. I always like to. It's fun to learn and to be able to make things better and different. And so I'm kind of excited about that. I'm excited to see what they have to teach. Because sometimes I get in a rut. I kind of feel like y'all might be thinking I do the same thing over and over again. And I know in floral design you're going to see a lot of the same things over and over again. But I think it's going to be fun and interesting to learn new things.
Let's see. Miss Lisa Roden asks, do you add up all the blooms to come up with the price for your arrangements, or do you just know how much to put in from experience?
So what I will do is, she wanted something similar. She really didn't give me a price. She just said she wanted something very similar to what we did before. So I will go in and I will add everything up. So she brought me the container for the larger arrangement. So the container will not be added into the price. I will go in and add each bloom, and then I'm going to add up the cost of the plaster of Paris, the cost of the foam, and the cost of the moss for each container. This one, of course, is just a mache container. It's not expensive at all. And so everything will be added up, and then after all of the supplies and all of the flowers are added up, there will be a labor charge added on top, and then that's how you come up with the grand total for each piece.
She says, we just bought a floral shop in Texas, and I would love to learn how to price silk arrangements better. I have learned a lot from watching your videos. Thank you.
Send me a message. I will give you all the details on how to calculate flowers. How to calculate, my words won't come to me today. I apologize. How to calculate fresh flowers versus artificial flowers. How to calculate hard goods versus all of the perishable items. Send me a message. I'm happy to help you with that. I would love to be able to help you with that. And if you want to talk voice to voice, we can do that too. Sometimes that's easier than typing and typing and typing. But holler at me. I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Carolyn Lawson says, Monty, my brother Ledford Jr. got my sister a black tombstone. They told him not to put wire on the stone. What do you suggest we use, please?
So, I have always found that stone toppers are really hard to stay on top of those stones anyway. It really depends on the cemetery where your sister is placed. And I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for that. So, cemeteries have different rules and different ideas of how they want things placed. So we have some cemeteries that only will allow us to put flowers directly in a vase. What I would suggest is, if it's possible and if it's okay at your cemetery, I would almost make a grave blanket that would lay on top of the grave right in front of her stone, that would not cover up the stone but would be laid right in front. You can do that by using a piece of foam, making your pretty flowers and then staking it into the ground. The only problem there, though, is when people come in the summertime, grass grows, and so they have to keep the grass cut. So you want to try to do something that's not going to get beat up too badly by the lawnmower. So that's just something to take into consideration, or even doing a really pretty basket that you can sit on the ground right beside it. But I would suggest definitely putting something on the ground versus putting something on that pretty stone, because over time, if you put that metal on that stone and it eats into that stone, it's just going to mess up the stone, and that would not be good. So I mean, you could even do something very similar to this that's set right beside the stone, and you tucked some little picks in it so that it wouldn't blow away. It's really pretty heavy. It's really not going to go anywhere, so this would certainly work. I hope that helps, though.
Robin says, years ago I had found an Oasis brand hot glue blocks, looks like almond bark, for fresh flowers, worked fantastic, did not pop off after being put in the cooler. Since starting back in the shop, I haven't been able to find it.
I have never seen that. Let me go in there and grab the box for the cold glue and show you what I prefer. Give me just a second and I'll go grab that box. What else was I going to show them? I was going to show them something. Oh, the vases with the pick on the bottom.
Miss Margaret, she is leaving right after work tomorrow to go on her trip. And then, Mommy, when are you coming back? Okay, I can't, she may not have heard me. I think she should be coming back at least by Sunday, because she should be back in the shop on Monday. But, so she should be she'll be gone from Wednesday to, I'm thinking Sunday. Green Dreams Art and Decor, thank you. She does do superb flower arrangement ideas and work. She does a great job. Thanks everybody for all your kind words. These are beautiful. They turned out lovely. Very elegant and sweet. When are you coming back from your trip?
Saturday night. Okay, so this is, I don't know if am I too close? So this is cold. It's called Oasis Floral Adhesive. So it comes in a tube just like this. Now it's kind of liquidy and it drips quick. So be careful when you go to add it, and just put a little bit. It doesn't take a whole lot. It comes in a box that looks just like this. It's called Oasis Floral Adhesive. It works wonderful for your corsages and boutonnieres and those type of things. This is, I was telling you about the styrofoam pieces that we use at the cemetery that has the vases. These are actually bigger than the vase actually is, so you really have to work it down into the vase. So a lot of times I will send a piece of styrofoam to shave it down just a little bit and work it down in the vase. Did we go black again?
Yes.
Man, oh man, oh man, we're talking too much, Victoria. Or I'm talking too much. I guess I'm the one doing all the talking, right? I'm talking too much, guys. I'm sorry about that. Okay, and then I was telling you about my hot glue. So these are the hot glue pellets, or they can look just like a pillow that you put on your bed. It's just a little glue pellet. And these just lay right down into your glue pan. The reason I like these over like a glue stick is because they don't string quite as badly as a glue stick does. And so they work wonderful. I just ordered these from the floral design place, the floral supply place. And then this is the vase that we were talking about. And it has this little pick that picks right onto the bottom. And so I usually just take that and pop it on the bottom, pop it on the table, and it will hold on to that. I don't usually glue this on, but you probably could. You could dip it in glue and glue it on if you'd like. Now I usually take this styrofoam cone and I pop this with glue, and then I glue it right down into that vase, and it holds pretty well. I usually design these first. We put the flowers in these first, and then if they decide they need a vase, we just charge them extra for the vase. We don't sell every one of these with the vase because not everybody needs a vase. But this would work for the lady who asked about the black stone. This would be something you could stick down into the ground too. My only problem is this stake is only probably about 4 inches, and it might be about 4 or 5 inches. And to me, that's not quite long enough. I mean, that just kind of makes me nervous, but you could try it and see.
Jane asks, can you use the coated wire saddle on the stone to keep from scratching?
I'm afraid with that black stone though, I bet it's a type of granite or something. So it's a fancier stone, and I would be afraid to put that metal piece. If they told him not to put metal on it at all, I'm afraid what if the weather corroded the plastic and it scratched? I just wouldn't do it. Now that's to each his own. You can certainly do it if you wanted to. Now, if I was asked to put flowers on someone's stone, that would be so scary to me, just because that's a lot of money, and I would hate to mess something up.
They're wishing you a good trip. They're saying they love the arrangement.
Guys, thanks! Thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon. We appreciate you all so much. And I will be live tomorrow. Miss Victoria is going to be off. But I will be here tomorrow. I may do some nosegays. So we have about 18 nosegays back there to make for prom. And so the wonderful part, we have another prom. This is prom number 3. The wonderful part about nosegays is I can easily put those together tomorrow, and they will be placed in the cooler, and they will be as fresh as possible for the prom on Saturday. So we may work on nosegays tomorrow. I may have you in the back room with me and Callie and Robbie, and we will be putting together, actually Robbie's off tomorrow. No, Robbie's here. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Robbie should be here. I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row. Robbie should be here tomorrow, but we will work on nosegays tomorrow. So come along, watch as we put those together, and we will see you all then. If you have any questions, though, don't hesitate to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll try to answer those for you. I hope you have a